So in this video today, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on the Roland Handsonic drum pad. Now I have owned them for over a year. If that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. Hey, what's up? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome back to another video. If you're new around here, I'm Ben Roland and this channel is all about live looping. Upload 3 videos just like this every single week. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing. Now today, we're going to be taking a look at the Roland Handsonic HPD-20 percussion drum pad. So I've owned the Roland Handsonic HPD-20 for over a year now. Previously, I was running the Roland HPD-SX, which is the little square pad that you trigger with your drumsticks to play various samples and backing tracks. Now, because I primarily do live looping and I play guitar during my show, I found it quite cumbersome to have to put my plectrum down, pick up some drumsticks, loop my drums, put the drumsticks back down, pick up my plectrum, and then continue playing with the show. So I thought it was essential that I found a solution where I didn't have to pick any drumsticks up and I could just tap away on some drum pads. So this led me to the Roland Handsonic HPD-20. This is a super powerful little drum pad. It has over 850 sounds on board it, and that accumulates into 200 full instruments. Now that was one of my major problems with the Roland HPD-SX. It was the fact that it came with hardly any presets on board. Now yes, I was aware that it's designed for you to implement your own samples and presets that you load in onto the unit, but I at least anticipated some form of preset on board of it so I could kind of play about with it. Now yes, it does come with about 10 presets like your 808 kick drums and your 909 drum kits, but pretty much they sound terrible, especially the acoustic drum kit on the SPD-SX. It's like dung, dung, dung. It's ridiculous. So there was no fair representation of the power of the unit, so I kind of lost interest in using it after I kind of got it straight out of the box. So as I said, the Roland SPD-SX comes with pretty terrible presets and on-board sounds. However, the Roland Handsonic is a different story. I instantly fell in love with this drum pad as soon as I turned it on and I started bashing away on it. Literally, the 850 sounds on board here are awesome. I used them for like the first 3 months that I had the unit before I started to actually really dive in on customizing this layout. Now the thing is, with it coming with so many presets, it allows you to understand how powerful this actual unit is. The problem with the SPD-SX coming with bare bones presets on it, you don't really know what the product can do. You know what I mean? Like you can't play around with it and go, oh, I like that preset, I'm gonna make my own version of that. So I've just plugged my Roland Handsonic into my laptop. Now this is running via the USB cable directly into Ableton Live. So all of the audio you are going to hear is coming straight from the Roland Handsonic into Ableton Live, streaming via the USB cable. So there's going to be no loss of quality or colorization to the sound because it's going through like real guitar jack cables. Now this is one of the actual huge benefits of the Roland Handsonic is the USB/MIDI streaming on the device. So we can plug a USB cable in, output the audio via the USB cable into Ableton Live, and then also we can use this as a MIDI controller. So let me show you an example. So I have a secondary audio track set up in Ableton Live. So I have my Roland Handsonic drums here, but then I also have this one called Get Good Drums, and we are running a contact plugin here, and it's the Get Good Drums plugin. This thing is absolutely a monster of a drum kit. Sounds beautiful. So what we're going to do is we are going to mute our Roland Handsonic track here and unmute the MIDI track we set up, and we are going to be able to control this drum kit inside of Ableton Live via this USB device here. So watch this. When I kick the kick drum, you can see it responding in the software. So as you just heard there, not only can we utilize the onboard sounds, but we can also take full advantage of these beautiful pads that are super sensitive and got beautiful dynamics to them. We can use them to use MIDI instruments inside of Ableton Live, and you can see how great this works as a MIDI controller. Now, in fact, not only do I use the Roland Handsonic for my live shows, when I'm writing songs in the studio, I plug this bad boy in and I record all of my drum tracks via the Modern and Massive plugin straight into Ableton Live, and I mix and master them, and it sounds like I've played them on a real drum kit, but I've really just played them with my fingertips. The creativity is endless. By the way, if you're getting value from this video, be sure to leave it a like and also consider subscribing, because I'm going to be doing a couple of tutorials with the Roland Handsonic so you can see what it can actually do. And if you end up buying one, I can sort of teach you how to use it. But with that said, let's carry on with the video. So on the back of the drum pads are your standard inputs and outputs. So we've got our stereo left and right output, we've got our headphones, and also we have this stereo mix in. So for example, if we're wearing our headphones and we want to play along to some backing tracks, we can route the backing tracks into the stereo mix in, have our headphones on, and jam along. Pretty handy little feature. Now, some of my favorite options on the back of the pedal are obviously the MIDI options, which we've already touched on, but the hi-hat control and trigger in. So with the hi-hat and trigger in, we can plug in stuff like this kick pad. So I've got my kick pedal attached to a trigger pad. So it means when I'm doing my drum kit stuff with like a proper acoustic kit, I can play a proper drum pad. Now this is really cool, but it's also a huge con just for me personally. Now I wish we had more options than just the hi-hat and trigger in. I wish we had multiple triggers that we could actually attach to this device, because with the Roland SPD-SX you can apply quite a lot of triggers and external triggers into the back of the module, whereas with this there's only two. And a foot switch as well, but the foot switch is more designed for changing presets than doing anything fancy. Now the reason why this is such a con for me is because when I'm live looping with my rig, I have my drum pad situated here. So I'm doing my drumming, but I want two kick drums preferably, because I'd prefer to have a kick drum literally right here so I can click and play my drums and use the kick pedal here. But then I'd like a secondary kick drum over here so when I'm singing, I can play on the kick drum and sing at the same time. Now the fact that you can only have one, it means I have to have only one kick drum here. So when I'm playing on my drum pads, I have to like stretch out quite a bit, and it's really uncomfortable. It doesn't really look the coolest, which is the main reason, but it's just really uncomfortable. And then it means my guitar is bumping into my rig and stuff's getting scratched, and it's not exactly ideal. Now the next cool feature is the D-beam feature. Now this makes the Roland Handsonic super stylish to play. So basically here on the drum pad, we have an infrared light, and this infrared light is shining upwards, and as we swipe our hand through that beam, it's basically going to trigger a sample, and depending how high we swipe along the light, it's going to determine how loud that sample is being played back at. So we can turn the D-beam on and off, so it's now on, and as I strike, you'll hear the playback of the sample, and if we go a little bit higher, it'll be slightly quieter, and if we go super close, it'll be pretty loud. Now I'm a huge fan of this feature because, you know, it gives a little bit of representation to what you're actually doing on the drum pads to the crowd. It's pretty similar to hitting a crash cymbal with a drumstick. It has that motion of force to it, so you're swiping the sample to come on. So it's almost magical for the audience watching you play. It's like, whoa, did you just see him swipe and trigger that sound? Whereas if you just were to go and click a button, it's less impactful. Now my next con is with the samples on the Roland Handsonic. Now yes, it is a huge improvement over the Roland SPD-SX, but the problem is with the dynamics on them. So basically, per pad you have 3 samples. So you basically have a quiet sample, a medium sample, and then finally a loud sample. And what happens is the Roland Handsonic phases between these samples. So as you play through the dynamics, it will phase between the medium one and then the loud one. But this becomes a huge problem when you're doing stuff with hi-hats, for example, because it's pretty apparent when you go from closed to an open hi-hat, they're a totally different sound. So when you hit this midpoint and then you suddenly go over to an open hi-hat, it's pretty apparent, the shift, and it loses that natural sound, and it's pretty obvious you're playing drum pads. This is why I primarily run the Roland Handsonic as a MIDI controller for Ableton Live, because then that way I have the full MIDI spectrum, so like 0 to 127 for the dynamics on the pads, because the pads are super good. They've got loads of sensitivity and lots of fidelity to them, so the way to fully maximize them is to use it as a MIDI controller. So to conclude, would I recommend the Roland Handsonic, having used it for over a year? And personally, I would suggest definitely taking a look at considering these drum pads. Right now, they are around £749. Last year, I bought them for about £649, so that's quite a huge increase in the space of a year. But if that's a little bit too expensive, you could look at getting the Roland SPD-SX for around £549 currently. Again, that has increased in price since I last bought mine. But you do have the huge trade-off for that saving, that it doesn't come with all the onboard sounds that this unit has on offer. And the fact it comes with all these onboard sounds, it allows you to get super creative straight from taking it out the box, putting it on and start playing and adding it to your loops and everything. You can get straight into the zone. You don't have to go, right, I'm now gonna boot up my computer and start editing some samples and loading them in, because that's what you end up doing with the SPD-SX. You end up spending half of your life basically setting it up than actually playing with it. So that is a definite pro with the Roland Handsonic. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving me a like and a subscribe. This channel is all about live looping. Upload live looping tutorials, live looping performances every Tuesday, Thursday, and now Saturdays. I've been Ben Roland. You can find me online at benrolandsmusic.com. If you want to learn more about live looping, check out this video over here, and I will see you in the next one.